Hey,
Sweet.
I'm Alan Furstenberg,
And I am Mike Wolfson.
and welcome back to Two Voice Devs.
Two voice devs.
So, Mike, we are here at Google I/O. We are in the Builders podcast space. So it's a little different than some of the other setups we've done before. This is pretty cool. It's a nice space in the middle of this chaos that is I/O, right?
First off, actually, what do you think about I/O? How many times have you been here, and how does this compare to? I mean, between the two of us, we've probably been to 20 plus.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, this is my 11th I/O. My first I/O was I/O 2012. So 14 years ago was my first I/O. You've been doing it a little bit longer.
Yeah. I don't remember which ones, but I know I had the 2010 shirt on yesterday,
Yeah.
so at least that far back. But who knows when?
And it's changed a lot since then, hasn't it?
Every year it changes. Actually, it's way different than it was last year.
Yeah, it's true. It was. I think back to 2012, and I'm like, we were in the Moscone Center, and we had a few floors there and a bunch of buildings, and the keynote in a room. And here we were watching the keynote at the Shoreline Amphitheater in the beautiful outdoors, and worried that the sun is going to catch up to us and it's going to get too warm. We've got a bunch of tents all around. It's very different than those first days.
Yeah, it really is. It's nice though.
I like it.
It's good networking and good the festival environment, which they have certainly changed to now. I think they've kind of dialed it in, and
That's true. I mean, a couple of years back, that festival attitude was way amped up. I mean, the first time at Shoreline, that was a party. It's a little bit dialed down from that now.
yeah, a little less Burning Man,
Yeah.
a little more conference.
So what were your big takeaways? What's your big thing from I/O this year?
Well, I'm not sure if there's one big thing, but maybe where we could start was an interesting takeaway I heard in the keynote, and this is kind of a direction for Gemini, and I want to get this right. And I think it was Dennis that was speaking about the direction of Gemini, and he said, and he was talking about the new Omni product. He was saying their goal is to have Gemini be any output from any input.
Yes.
Which I think is a really interesting nuance. And
It is. And Noble and I talked about that a little bit and kind of narrowed down one aspect of it. But I think the Omni model, where it is going, not necessarily where it is today, but where it's going and where Gemini was kind of the foundation of Gemini to do it, really is letting them do some amazing stuff.
100%. So this is something interesting I learned yesterday at the Gemini reception. I was speaking to one of the engineers, and he was explaining that NanoBanana is not an evolution of Imagen. So Imagen is a diffusion model based, and NanoBanana is actually based on Gemini.
Yes.
So I don't fully understand what that means, other than it allows all the world building and physics that Gemini happens to know about. And it's the same with Veo and Flow and Omni. Omni is not a new version of it, but it's actually something different based on Gemini. So it doesn't allow all the conversational stuff and the iteration from generation to generation, which is useful.
It's very interesting that they took that approach. I don't think anybody else is really taking that approach. Part of the reason I brought you here, though, is we're both GDEs. We've known each other for ages now at this point, but we almost never do anything that has overlap. And I'm suddenly finding we now have common elements that I keep turning to you to ask about. And that's because Android XR is the platform that's going to be on the intelligent eyewear, and Android is not something I'm familiar with. So I keep turning to you as an Android GDE, asking you these, I assume some of them are pretty basic questions about Android. What is your take on Android XR so far?
Well, I'm excited to finally get my hands on it if that ever happens, which of course you knew. I told you ahead of time I was going to complain about that. But we're kind of here again seeing a demo a year later, another demo. Besides that, I think it's going to be really a nice natural evolution. It seems to be well integrated with the tools. I saw some of that this week. So it's going to make it really easy to kind of develop, even if you don't have the hardware, which is a big problem usually for a lot of people. And for all of us right now, we don't have the hardware, but it seems like it's going to be pretty easy. I wish Google was moving a little faster.
I
But
think all of us, I've been wishing they moved a little bit faster for, 13 years now.
Yeah.
But yes, I get that. But speaking of having access to hardware and so forth, I did see that they've essentially started a developer program that you can sign up for and maybe get access to hardware and have access to hardware at some hackathons they have planned. That sounds exciting. Are you planning on doing any of that?
I did register for a hackathon. So Google, if you're listening, I have a really excellent use case and are super valid to be in attendance in LA. I would love to get my hands on it. I've always been excited throughout the years, really, to get my hands on any new hardware.
Great.
And this is anytime it's Google. I'm sorry, anytime it's Android. I meant to say, sign me up because it's already so accessible to me already. One thing I actually want to say in regards to Android and accessibility for developers is I feel like some of the tool advancements that we saw this week with anti-gravity and some integrations directly into Android, enabling like CLI tooling,
Yes.
so that you can use some of the Android components from outside of the IDE, is going to be really valuable and helpful to help you use a coding agent
Yes.
to help you.
I'm very excited for that, especially because it's not my native work environment. So I feel like being able to have something that, at least for me, is not doing the work for me, but helping kind of steer me a little bit more in the right direction. So I'm not, calling you all the time and saying, what is this code? What am I trying to do here? Or just blindly copying and pasting the sample code without having any idea what it's doing.
Right. But maybe you don't always need to know exactly what it's doing, and you just need to be able to orchestrate it and know some good ideas. I mean,
Well, sure, yeah.
what you know is the use cases and the important stuff. So maybe, and also you additionally know good engineering principles, and so I think maybe you might know enough to be real dangerous right now with the tools Google has.
That's my concern, is that I'm too dangerous with the tools. Not that I can get somewhere, but that I can, get nowhere fast or create disasters fast. Those are my worries right now. But yeah, I had conversations with some of the Android XR team, and they were good conversations. I'm not convinced that they are thinking all the modalities that I'm thinking. They say they've got an audio-only device that's coming. That's going to be the first device that's available in the fall. Have they really thought about what that interface feels like? I'm not convinced they have. But then when I say, what is that conversation? If I ask Gemini a question that I am expecting to be answered by my app, how does that work? I don't want it to run the app. I don't want it to launch the app, but I want it to ask the app a question and get it back and have this smooth transition. And you're smiling because you know exactly where I'm going with this. And that's, they directed me at this thing called app functions. So what are app functions?
Oh, okay. App functions.
Or what do they call it? Is it now called Android MCP?
I don't know if they did rename that, but they did call it that in one of the presentations. And so, if anything, it's a very accurate way to think about it. Is it really is Android MCP? Which MCP is just really an interface to some sort of functions on your application or your web layer or whatever. Basically, the idea is app functions are going to allow you to expose these API surfaces to your phone.
Okay.
Which can be used in lots of different ways, as you can imagine.
One of the things that I think excites me the most about this is MCP servers, I feel like, are continuing to have this setup problem. When you first started having to use MCP servers, it was run this script. We're not going to tell you what it does, but trust us. And put your API key here, or, go through this process and get this code and put it here. There was a lot of magic. There was a lot of blind trust. It left me with this feeling of, do I trust any of this? And what I'm hoping for, and kind of the feeling that I get from app functions or Android MCP or whatever, is that the discovery and the security policies just go along with Android apps. This is a known and understood environment. I install an app. It comes with my account permission, so it knows who I am. and it can do something based on that. That's a set of things that, as a person that is using it, understands, is familiar with, is comfortable with, and we're not making radical changes.
That's interesting because we've talked about this multiple times ahead of this conversation, and something you just mentioned really clicks. And it's an important nuance for the user, which is what I care about.
Yeah.
In my business, that's one of our prime directives is
make sure the customer is important.
Yeah,
is the focus.
We call them guests, but
okay, the guest is important.
Yes,
I don't like the term user. That's what I'm.
Right. But we call them our guests, and that really is our most important thing. But I'm not here to talk about that corporate thing. What I am here to talk about is what you just described is the familiarity people have by having an app already on their phone and being comfortable with those use cases. Maybe extending those outside of the app is something they're already comfortable with. So if they're already comfortable using, my app to search for toothpaste, and it just exposes itself somewhere outside of the app itself, it's not foreign to them, and it's not something unexpected. All the payment stuff is already granted. The
loyalty program is already there. It's hooked in. There's no surprises.
Yep.
Because they've already installed and approved the app. And I feel like Android is like the only platform that can do that. You are delivering an experience through Android that really nothing else can do on an agent level right now. And coming from the voice world, that's exactly what we've wanted for ages. Is just this nice, transparent context that's just there. So I'm excited about it. And
it's interesting because another thing you just mentioned, which clicks for using app functions, is it introduces the other modalities of the phone that we don't necessarily support in the app right now. Like we don't. I'm sure you can use your voice to search for stuff, but the idea of doing that from the home button of the phone, we don't support.
Right.
So now when you search for toothpaste, we can capture that and show you our toothpaste, and that is super good for both the guest and for the bottom line when you convert on that lead.
Right. I mean, and it feels like it's a smooth, transparent thing. So whereas before they had to consciously open up your app and consciously click on search and consciously do a bunch of things, now it's more seamless of, right, I need toothpaste. Let me order toothpaste to pick up in 2 hours. And it's done. It's that just enough friction, but no more than necessary. So what else do you have that you're itching to talk about?
The other thing that you were assigned to learn about before this meeting is the one thing that people were really excited about in the keynote, and I'm not sure I'm totally on board with this thing anyway, is Spark.
So tell us about Spark.
So Spark, as I understand it, is OpenClaw for your phone, basically. Okay. But the nice thing is, instead of OpenClaw, where it's very dangerous.
Again, we go back to the security issues.
It's not as dangerous when Google is supporting that and supplying all the important permissions and context and control in the device. So I think that's why people are excited about it, because the idea of having this AI agent that you can just let run amok.
Yeah.
And
an agent that will be that again, it has your context, it has your email, it has your drive, it's got your knowledge on Android. Well, does it have your knowledge on Android? Is Spark Android? I've already lost track of which one is which.
So Spark is the not the Android version. Halo is the Android version.
Okay.
Which nobody should know that information. And don't pay any attention because it's going to change before this becomes real. So there's no way. I would bet by the time we're talking about this next year that there is no product named Spark or Halo.
Well, and I think that's actually going to be the interesting thing is that a year from now, those are just going to blend into, those are just going to become part of
Android
and search
be
and
part of Gemini, really. The Gemini that is your phone.
Yeah.
Gemini is just going to keep expanding out.
And I mean, in ways, I think that's a good thing, is that we're going to have this thing that has all the context it needs, but no more than that.
Yep. I guess one last thing before we finish up.
Yeah.
I would like to talk about the Gemini app, basically.
Okay.
They released the new version of the Gemini app, I guess, yesterday for folks. We had it a little bit earlier. Not very much earlier, but which is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. One of the great things about being GDE is we're exposed to a number of trusted tester programs, and we'd really like to thank Google for letting us into those programs and asking our opinions and trying to get that feedback. And sometimes not all the feedback gets into the final product, but sometimes it does. So we're really appreciative of that.
Yeah, absolutely. But the new UI is just delightful.
You like what do you like about it the most?
The single feature that I like the most about it is the dynamic color that kind of pulsates as it's thinking. I think that's just a really delightful experience. It's kind of frustrating to wait for an AI to think. And I actually think it's quite delightful.
Very good.
In that respect. But there's a lot of other secondary things. As you know, I'm a design expert.
You are?
Like, that's what I do in my general job. The typography is very wonderful. The icons I learned were all hand-drawn by one of the people on the team.
There's an irony there, isn't there?
Yeah. There really is, actually. I didn't think about that until now. Yeah, you're really right. They were, but it's really well thought out. And I was able to, while we were here at this event, I was able to speak to the VP of design, whose name is Jenny. I don't remember her last name, and I feel terrible about that at the moment.
There's so many names to remember. It really is. Trying to keep track of everything is tough.
But such a delightful person, and the opportunity as an insider at this event was really special to be able to kind of communicate with her and give her my feedback directly.
And that's always great. And we really do appreciate that Google gives us that opportunity to be here to give that kind of feedback.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much to Google for letting us do that and for letting us do the recording. So a year from now, hopefully, we will both be back at I/O. Mm-hmm. What are you hopeful for? That we will be excited, that a year from now we will be, that was a great thing that they did this year. What's the thing you're hopeful for?
I am hopeful that maybe we'll finally see these gosh darn glasses that they keep showing us every year. I mean, I'm actually not hopeful.
You're not hopeful about that. Okay.
1 year from now, we will have the audio ones, I think. But that's it. And maybe, who can prognosticate? But it's that's what I would like to see. It's a product segment that I really enjoy, that I think is much maligned, and I would like to see it break out of its current kind of world and into something that's better.
I would agree with you that I want to see it break out into that something that's better, and I would also agree, I'm not sure we're going to see that. I feel like a year from now we're going to see the Me Too element. The here's our answer to Meta Ray-Bans. I think it's going to be another I/O after that till we get here is the real vision for where glasses and wearables in general are with the Gemini interface. So I think it's going to take a little bit longer, but I think next year's going to be the we did it also moment.
Well, let's hope so.
Let's hope so. But I'll tell you what, a year from now, we will find out, and hopefully we will talk about it again on Two Voice Devs.
Two Voice Devs.
Mike, thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, likewise. Let's shake hands. We're never in person. It's awesome.